Good morning, everyone. And with me, I have up-and-coming country superstar Emily Earle. And you may know her from Season 3 of The Voice on NBC. And I guess you auditioned where? In Los Angeles, right?
So I actually originally was living in New York City. So my first audition was in New York.
All right. And you were playing... Now, is it true you were playing in the subways in New York?
I was, yes. For about 3 years. I made my full-time living in the subway.
Wow. Now, did you make decent money, or was it just really tough?
So I only had the best experience, and it could just be that I got lucky. And, there's kind of a politics to it, so you can't play in a spot that's somebody's spot from, I got lucky and someone told me the rules early on when I messed up and was on their territory. But I found my own platform that nobody was really playing on, kind of at Rockefeller Center on the Uptown train. And I was fortunate that most of the people that were getting on there, I was usually playing in the afternoons right at rush hour. If they couldn't tip me on a Monday, like by Friday, they'd be like, here's money for the whole week. Sorry, we missed you earlier. So
wow.
It seemed to balance out pretty nicely. And it was great money. And it was like $120 an hour. It was like hard to complain.
Are you kidding me?
No, I mean, it was probably one of the best jobs I've had.
Wow. I wish I had I don't have any musical talent. I used to play the drums when I was little, but gave it up because I thought I was going to be a baseball player and didn't work out so well. So now, for you to make $120, I'm sitting there going, what? But for you to make $120 an hour, you must have been really good. You must have been drawing a great crowd and really playing things that people thoroughly enjoyed, because you must have something going for you. You know what I mean?
I hope. Or I just figured the system out a little bit and timed it all right. Because the funniest thing is you don't need very many songs. So I would always try all my new songs I wrote out, because you could only get 3 songs in before every train. Like 3 songs that usually made the best profit. And then if I had a new song, I'd loop it in, and I'd find out pretty quick if it was going to work or not. And so I'd know that's how I tried out new songs for my set, which was fun.
So now, how'd you get started? I mean, did you grow up in Tennessee? Is that where you grew up?
No, so I moved around. I was born in Virginia, but I grew up mostly in McAllen and Lubbock, Texas. Went to high school in Colorado, so kind of everywhere. But my family, my uncle and a couple cousins play music, and an aunt, so music was always around. But the funny thing for me was it just kept being my consistent. I loved writing. And so I wrote poetry, actually I started writing novels. I was like, I'm going to be a novel writer, and I wrote books. And my father told me that he was like, man, I'm really busy and I can't read all these. You've got to learn to summarize. So I started summarizing, and then that turned into poetry. And I realized early on that people have to listen to your poetry if you sing them. So I started singing them, and then gradually added guitar in. And it was interesting, though. It was the one consistent thing that kept coming back. I thought I was going to be, kind of like you said with baseball, I was in track, and I was doing like junior Olympic track, and I thought that was my calling. And then I stress fractured both shins, and music came back. Every time I tried anything, it kept kind of always turning back to music, and that's when I said, I think I should listen to this voice telling me that this is what I'm supposed to do.
So how old were you when you first picked up the guitar?
It wasn't until I was, I believe, 16.
Wow.
Just about, or 17. Yeah, because it was always in the house, and there was always one on a wall in each room, and so it was always around, but it was actually just my stubbornness that kind of pushed me to pick it up. I was auditioning for a concert, and my high school teacher said, I'm sorry, we can't officially say we're not allowed to have freshmen in it, but we're not having freshmen in the show. So I went to the principal and was like, that's not allowed. And he said, so they had to come up with another reason. And they said, well, it's because you don't accompany yourself. Everyone has to accompany themselves this year. And so I had one more day left for auditions. So I went home and I learned Buddy Holly's It's So Easy on the guitar, and then came back and auditioned with that. And that's really the reason I first picked the guitar up.
Well, you're pretty spunky then, aren't you?
I think a little bit.
Well, that's what you need, though. I mean, for you to make it in the subways in New York, and then to get yourself into a talent show as a freshman, somebody very young and just starting out, you had that determination you learned a song in less than a day.
I had to pick the one because since I grew up in Lubbock, I was like, well, if I'm going to learn a song on the guitar, it's going to be Buddy Holly. And then I found one of his songs with the least amount of chords.
So you're very smart.
Only 3.
Right, you took the easiest way out. So
Thanks.
Good job with that. Now, people say, and I remember seeing you back, I guess season 3, but for you, when you look back, what's the thing that sticks in your mind the most? What's the lasting impression from that show? Was it, meeting the judges? Was it just being able to perform in front of, such a cool audience and such a, an outstanding venue? Or, was it the nerves? What do you remember the most when you look back on that?
Looking back on it, I mean, the thing that stuck with me the most, I think, is really just the contestants you meet, the other people. Because you're sequestered in a hotel for a long period of time with just these other people. And it's not obviously a life or death scenario, but it's like a high stress scenario for sure. Because you're just kind of waiting, not knowing when your time is going to be to get to audition, and they're pulling people, and you're, practicing your song. And so you really, really get to know all these other people in this hotel and all these other contestants. And I feel like some of the relationships and friendships formed from that show are friendships I'll have for the rest of my life. I mean, and it's cool to kind of, as people continue music or don't, to just be able to still relate and share continued experiences after, because there's also a big, there's also the whole world after the show. And to go through that with these people who've also been through the process of the show is kind of really, there's a special bond to that.
Well, here's the thing, and I mean, you sound like somebody who's already mature beyond your years, but some advice I got from my dad when I was younger, he said, Bob, what you need to do in life is you need to learn to network. It's all about getting out there and shaking hands and kissing babies. I don't really do that, but meet as many people as you can. You treat everybody with respect, no matter who they are.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to you. And sounds like you already have a leg up on that. So good job.
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt like, the most important thing is just friends and people in your life and the relationships you build, because other things come and go, but those things seem to be the things that carry through.
Yeah, like my hair. It just came and went.
Oh.
With you, now, people kind of compare you as a cross between like Sheryl Crow and, Miranda Lambert, Linda Ronstadt. What do you categorize yourself as? Are you kind of like a Jane of all trades? Can you do pretty much anything? Country, folk, pop, that kind of stuff?
I mean, I definitely love, obviously you grow up listening to all kinds of music, and I've definitely had a phase in, I think, every genre at this point in my life. But I think, the best description of kind of what I do is the kind of somewhere between like a Miranda Lambert and a Casey Musgraves, and with like a little bit of Sheryl Crow things sprinkled in there. I grew up on, Sheryl Crow and Dixie Chicks and, Buddy Holly in that world, and then also some of the more folky stuff. So it's kind of been fun to really find what my sound is over the last few years.
That's the neatest part about it. The self-discovery, you going, oh, wow, and the light bulb goes off, and you're like, that's what I want to do. And then I guess you have to sort of customize it or tailor it to the songs in which you write, the things that are important to you,
Yes.
right? What are the things you like to write about most? Like family experiences, how you met your husband, or a bad relation?
I mean, I kind of love writing about any and everything, whether it be my story or, I love listening to friends' stories and other people's stories and incorporating that. For me, though, the funnest part of the writing process is taking, say I had a bad breakup a while back, and I'm going through that, and I have all of my personal experiences, but what part of, so I take this one situation of this breakup, and how can I make that the most relatable on a mass scale? What is, I've felt this, there's got to be other people that feel this.
Right.
How can I say this in a way that they see it, they know that they're not alone in this scenario?
You're tough, too, because I heard you took a lot of late-night Greyhound bus trips, to avoid,
Yeah.
Paying high costs for hotels and airlines and stuff. So you're pretty, like I told you before, you seem pretty spunky. You got that never say die attitude. You're going to do whatever it takes to get it done. Trying
my very best. And I'm learning along the way that there's a difference between not thinking through a scenario and getting on a Greyhound bus, being brave enough to get on the Greyhound bus, because I didn't think that whole tour through until I was there with no wallet or keys by the end.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I fell asleep on my bag thinking that would protect everything in it, and it was empty when I woke up.
Are you kidding?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, we picked up apparently a bunch of people out of prison on the way out, and I didn't know this till my publisher at the time. I got back in town, and I was telling him the story, and I was like, yeah, it was so weird. It's like at 10 o'clock at night, these 10 guys with these clear plastic bags filled with stuff got on. And I was like, we're in the middle of nowhere, but seemed like a weird stop, but we stopped in Atlanta or something on the way home after that, and they all got off. and that's when all my stuff disappeared. And he was like, "Oh, y'all picked up all the people getting out of prison."
Wow.
I said, "Oh, that's great."
Well, I'm glad that they were reformed. You know, prison did them absolutely no good. So now, for you, one of your big breaks came right when I guess you caught the eye or the attention of producer and guitar player Keith Gaddis. What has he meant to you?
Yes, he's been great. So we worked together for a couple years, and we really kind of just dug in. And he's been a great influence because he's been helped me really go, okay, like let's take this part of my sound and go super extreme with it and record some songs, and we did. And we went, okay, that's not quite the sound, but now we know we can go a little that way, but not all the way. And now let's go a little more rock and record some songs and try that. And so it was a really cool way of kind of just going on all extremes to all the ends of the sound that is me to really kind of find where that center is of what my sound is. And so he was wonderful for that.
So now for you, I understand you have a new EP out, and all 6 songs, I guess you wrote them or co-wrote them with some pretty outstanding people, including Ashley Monroe. That must have been fun.
Oh, and that one wasn't written. She sang harmonies on a song, and we have not quite released that yet. That should be out.
Oops, did I let the cat out of the bag? Okay.
No, we didn't. We've been saying we were going to release. We're still trying to get the right pairing of everything before we go forward. But, yeah, she sang some vocals on a couple tracks, which was so cool. I love her voice and her writing.
Now, your new song, News from Colorado, are you going to perform that this Friday night when you come here to Penn's Peak?
I am hoping to. Yes, I have been. I love that song, and it's one of the first songs I wrote when I got to Nashville, Tennessee, and I wrote it with Steve Earle and my aunt Allison Moore, and it just means a lot to me. So I hope to play that one.
Now, how did you hook up with Trace Adkins? Because, you're going to come here. You're going to love this venue. And have you ever been to this part of Pennsylvania before?
I have not been to Jim Thorpe, but I have been to a bunch of surrounding areas because I've played a lot of the Penn State colleges, and then mostly the colleges in that area. So I've been around just a couple times, but I have not seen this specific venue yet.
The venue itself is amazing. It's beautiful. The acoustics are phenomenal. You're really going to like it. You really are.
I'm excited for it.
So now, Trace Adkins, how did you get incorporated into his tour? And the other question is, was he kind of intimidating when you first met him? Because he's a big dude, man. He was a good football player. He's like 6'5". He's got that very deep voice, Was he a little intimidating at first?
Well, honestly, I actually have not met him yet.
Oh,
wow.
I
will meet him at the show. Yeah. So we have the same booking company, and my booking agent, I guess they submitted my music to him, and he said, yes, let's have her on as an opener for this show. So we both, are between schedules in Nashville. I mean, we haven't met yet, so we'll meet at the show.
Oh, okay. That's kind of
I'm very excited, though.
Well, that's really interesting because people will be meeting you here for the first time, and then Trace will be meeting you, and you'll be meeting him. That's kind of cool because you think a lot of times like these artists who are in shows together or maybe on the same tour know each other pretty well, but I guess this is one of those cases where it's all a new experience for both. Yeah,
it's really cool too that he would let me open for this show because it means a lot that without having that name, he accepted my music.
But like you said, he judged you based just on your talent, kind of like The Voice, where they judge you on your voice, and he judged you on your music and your voice. So that has to be, like you said, very, very rewarding. All right, now let me ask you this. Your favorite thing to eat, when you're like trying to write songs and you got the writer's block and you're sitting there, what's your go-to food that gets you like over the hump?
Well, when I'm writing and I need and I feel like I hit a hump, one of my favorite things to eat this is so weird, but they are puffy Cheetos. And that's a recent find that I realized that a lot of the publishing rooms that I've been in the last few weeks have just for the first time started stocking puffy Cheetos. and I hadn't had them in probably 8 years, and I was like, man, I'm going to try these. And each time I tried a bag, we wrote a great song, so now that's my new go-to.
So you and puffy Cheetos. Now, see, maybe you can pick up an endorsement and you could be in a TV commercial. Hi, this is Emily Earle for Puffy Cheetos. You know what I mean? And you could do a whole spot.
I would do it.
Those are good. Those are really good. They're so bad for you, but they're so good. Well, listen, I appreciate you giving me all this time. I know you're probably tired. You want to maybe take a little nap or whatever, and you worked all night. But thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to get to talk to you and get to know you a little better. And good luck to you and your husband and your puppy Cheetos. I hope you guys have a good time.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks for taking the time. It was great meeting you.
All right, you too. Emily Earle, she'll be opening up for Trace Adkins this Friday night here at the Penn concert venue. You don't want to miss it.